So as part of the today's session, okay, so like we are going to do one more simple automation with the help of the constructor concept. Okay, so what are the things which I have explained yesterday, in the same way, like I'm going to automate a new scenario and post the session, like you will be have an idea like how to start an automation in the real time. So as I told, okay, so whenever we are planning to automate something, so the first thing is like we need to do the test design. So let's say, like let me just open this official web page of the LearnMore. So where I'm planning to handle the alerts. Okay, so we are going to handle the alerts. So what are alerts? So generally, right, in multiple pages, like you may have noticed one dialog box. For example, if I click on this button, you could see so some like dialog box is appearing. So actually, which we call it as an alert. So one and only if we handle the alert, we can able to click something in this application, which means like we should click on the OK button. And you may think, okay, how we can click the OK button? Like you may do the right click, but when we do the right click, so the right click won't work. So even if the right click work, so the inspect button won't be available. Then how we are going to handle this alerts? So there will be another kind of bots which used to display, which we call it as an confirmation bots. Okay, so generally in an alert, there will be kind of an three things. So one is of an alert bots, and next is of an confirmation bots, and finally, like we will be having the prompt bots. Okay, so these are the three things. So the alert will throw. So if I just click on this confirmation bots, you could able to see two button, OK as well as cancel. Either the user can click on the OK button or the user can click on the cancel button. Okay. So similar to that, like we'll be having one more button called as a prompt. So in the prompt box, so the user can inject the input and then they can click on the OK button. Okay. So whenever like you are planning to submit any of the application form, right? So obviously, a alert message will be thrown. So stating that like once you submit this form, you can't edit the details. So likewise, some warning is thrown, some information is thrown to the customer. So how the informations are thrown in the sense only with the help of the alerts. So in a real time, so we need to handle the alert. So which means we need to accept the alert, or sometimes we may need to cancel it up, and then like we need to validate the alert message. So let's say like here they have populated the message called as an press a button. So we should validate the alert message. And in some cases, like we may inject an input inside the alert. So how we are going to handle? So the handling mechanism is like very simple. Okay. So initially we need to ask the driver to switch to the alert. So how we can switch to the alert? So if you remember, like we have handled the frame. So in order to switch into the frame, so we have used the method called as an switch to. Okay, so in the similar way, like we are going to use the switch to method, and this time we are going to switch to the alert. Okay, so once we switch to the alert, okay, so we need to handle it up. In an alert box, we will be having an OK button. In a confirmation box, we will be having an OK button as well as the cancel button. So here in the prompt box, like we will be having the input action along with the OK button and the cancel button. Okay, so whenever like you need to click on OK button, so there is a method called as an accept. Okay, so you should use the accept method. For clicking the cancel button, so we should use the method called as an dismiss. So if we need to insert an input, so for sure, like we know, like we should use the send keys. And in some cases, not in the some cases, in all cases, we used to validate the alert message. So how we are going to get the text? So in order to get the text, so we are going to use the method called as an get text. Okay, so this is a simple thing. Okay, if we include this one line, okay, the Selenium will automatically handle the alert boxes. So now we are going to draft the scenario for handling the alert. So let me just open the IntelliJ, okay, in which like let me just create a feature file. I'm just navigating to the feature file package and then I'm creating the new feature file. So let the feature file name be learnmore dot okay feature. And whenever we are creating the feature file, so what we need to do, so we need to specify the purpose of the feature file with the help of the feature keyword. So let it be like kind of an learn more automation. Okay, so just I'm giving the high level description, and whatever the scenario we are going to automate, so we should map the scenario under the feature file. And whenever you are mapping the scenario, we should use the keyword called as a scenario. Okay, so now what we are going to do, so as part of the scenario, we are going to validate this message present in the confirmation box. So I can say alert message validation in confirmation box. Okay, this is the scenario which I'm going to derive. So now let me write the given statement. So given, so in order to automate it, so we need to click on this confirmation box button, right? So I can say user click on confirmation box button. Okay, so now next thing, suppose that automatically what happened, so this pop-up will be populating the alert message, the alert box will be thrown. So we need to handle this alert box, so which means like we need to like get this text message. So then how we can get, we are going to do the validation, which means like user validate the alert message. Okay, so in this scenario, so just we are going to click on the confirmation box and then just we are going to verify the alert message. And in similar way, if you need to click on the OK button or the cancel button, so we can do it accordingly. So now let us try to automate this scenario. So now we have done with the test design. So whenever we have done with the test design, so the next step is like we need to create a step definition. So what I'm going to do for this learn more, I'm going to create a separate step definition. So I'm just clicking on the step definition package. I'm just adding the class. Okay. So let the class name be the learn more steps. So as I told at the end of the step definition file, always add the steps keyword so that like you will get to know, so what is the step definition file and what is the page object. So in case of a page object, at the end of each and every class, right, so add the keyword called as a page so that like we can differentiate. Okay, so now I have written over here. So now in the step definition, we are going to do the mapping. So how we are going to do the mapping? So in order to do the mapping, like we will be using the annotation. I'm just copying the given statement and I'm using the annotation called as an at given, and then I'm just mapping the respective statement. Okay, so now immediately I'm just creating the method below it. So let it be like kind of an public void. So click confirmation bots. Okay, so likewise just I'm adding one method over here. Now I'm just importing the given statement. So in similar way, like we need to map the then statement. Let me just map the then statement. So if I click on the create step definition and if I click on this learn more step, automatically the then statement will be mapped. Okay, so now whenever we execute this scenario, right, okay, it is going to call the class called as an learn more step. So whenever it call the class, so we need to like activate the heart of the framework. So what is the heart of the framework? So obviously the heart of the framework is like text context, because only with the help of the text context we are passing the information to other class file. So which means like we need to like initialize this test context. So how we are going to initialize this test context? So only with the help of the constructor, because we know, so whenever a class is called, a constructor call will happen. So if there is a constructor, it will execute the constructor. If there is no constructor, at the backend it will create a default constructor and it will execute the default constructor. So here rather than executing the default constructor, we are creating our own constructor. So let it be like kind of an public, okay, learn more steps, because like I told, so the constructor name should be same that of the class name. So now to this constructor we are going to pass the knowledge of the text context. So I'm just typing text context, I'm giving the variable name as an context. Okay, so now this knowledge is going to act as a local variable. So because like we can use this context knowledge only inside the special method, but how we are going to pass the context information to the other methods in the sense, so we are creating one more global variable called as an text context, and I'm just giving the variable name as an context. Okay, so now this context will have, okay, null value, and we need to assign the value of text context to this current class context. So how we can access the current class context with the help of the this keyword. So I can say like this dot, okay, context is equal to context. So this is the first step we need to do. So whenever you are creating any of the step definition, so you need to like inject the knowledge of the context to this particular class, because only with the help of the context we are doing the automation. Then what happened? So while executing this constructor, okay, so it will call the test context, and inside the test context there is a constructor. Okay, so it will execute this constructor, it will create an object for an WebDriver, and it will instantiate the methods and variable presence in the WebDriver, and post that it will create an object for the WebDriver. Okay, so sorry, it's create an object for the page object manager, and inside this page object manager it will pass the driver knowledge, because we are calling the method called as an get driver details presence in this class called as a WebDriver manager. So now if I just do the control click over it, okay, it will execute this particular method, because like we are calling the method. Initially it will check whether the driver is null or not. So obviously the driver knowledge will be null, and it will read the property file, it will get the details, and it will initialize the respective driver. Post that the driver knowledge will be stored in the global variable, as well as the driver knowledge will be written. Okay, so moving forward, when someone call this method called as an get driver details, so it will check for the condition. So one and only if the driver is null, it will execute. But now the driver got a knowledge, which means it will always return the knowledge of the WebDriver. Okay, so now like the WebDriver knowledge is injected to the page object manager, okay, with the help of the constructor. So now, so we have created the constructor, so here the driver knowledge is passed. Okay, so now what happened? So this driver knowledge might be assigned to this global variable, and by the same way we can parse the driver knowledge to various page objects. So now as part of an automation, like we need to create a page object, right? So let me just create a page object. So let me just create a class file. Okay, so let the class file name be the page of this particular page. So page name of this particular page. So what is the page name? It's an alerts. So let it be like kind of an learn more, okay, alert page. So now inside which we are going to do the coding, but we need to pass the knowledge of the driver to this particular class. So how we can pass? So whenever we are adding the new page object, we need to create a method in a page object manager. Okay, so in the page object manager, so just I'm adding a method, let it be like public void, let the page name be the get learn more, okay, alert page. So now we need to create an object, because like whenever we call this method, it should instantiate the entire class. So now I'm creating the method for the same. So let it be kind of an learn more alert page. Okay, I'm just giving the same variable name is equal to new of learn more alert page. So now this is acting as a local variable, so we should make it as of a global thing. Okay, I'm just making the global, and I'm assigning the knowledge to the global, and make the access modifier as an public. Okay, so one and only if the access modifier is in public, we can access across the other classes. So now I'm just assigning the knowledge to that respective global variable. Okay, so now what we are going to do? we are going to inject the knowledge of the driver, okay, so that the same driver knowledge will be passed to this particular driver. If you are injecting the knowledge of the driver, so this particular method should have constructor so that it can accept the driver. So I'm just navigating to this learn more alert page where I'm creating the constructor. So let it be like public learn more alert page. Okay, so we are creating the constructor name same that of the class name. So here we need to parameterize because we are going to get an input of the driver. So just I'm parameterizing this particular thing. Okay, so whenever you use this keyword, if it throws the error, so just click on the import statement, so the errors will be rectified. So now here we are going to create one more global variable called as an WebDriver because like we are going to assign the knowledge of this global variable, it's a local variable, to the global variable. And in order to access this global variable, which is nothing but the current class instance, we will be using the this keyword. So I'm just typing this dot driver is equal to driver. Okay, so now we have done with it. So now I'm navigating to the page object manager, I'm injecting the knowledge of the driver. Okay, so now the driver knowledge is shared. So post creating the object, right, we need to return, we should add a return statement. We are going to return the entire knowledge of the class. So just I'm adding the return keyword. Okay, and what is the variable name of the class? It's learn more alert page. So whenever we add the return statement, so the void will be changed to the appropriate return type. We are returning the entire class knowledge, which means like whenever we call this method, we can access the methods present inside the learn more alert page as well. Not only the methods, also the variable present over it. Okay, so now the driver knowledge is passed to this learn more alert page. Now we are going to add the reusable methods, okay, inside this learn more alert page. So whatever the action we are going to perform in this alert page, for each and every action, so a reusable method should be created in this particular page. So what we are going to do, so I'm just going to like click on this particular button. So let me right click, okay, and let me click on the inspect button, and let us map the respective locator. So let's say it is having an uh, id or the button called as an button primary. So let me just check whether it is unique or not. So obviously it is an unique, but it is a compound class. So how you can handle the compound class? Only with the help of the XPath or the CSS selector. So just I'm making the syntax to the XPath. So just I'm converting the syntax to the XPath. So now I have copied the syntax. Now let me just write the coding over here. So I'm just creating the reusable method. So public void, okay, give meaningful name. So click, what is this? The button name. So we call it as an confirmation bot. So click confirm bots button. Okay, so just I'm writing the method over here. Now so we are going to do the automation. So driver dot find element by dot, okay, we are using the XPath. So I'm just using the XPath operation, and then okay, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do the click operation. So just I'm adding the click operation. Okay, so now this is done. So now next step, we need to okay get the text message from the confirmation bots, because if we click on the confirmation bots, this confirmation bots will be opening. We need to get the text. So that is a validation that we are going to do. So I'm just adding a method for it. So public void, okay, get alert bots text. Okay, so how we are going to switch to the alert? As I told, so we are going to use the switch to method. So I'm just asking my WebDriver to switch to the alert. Okay, after switching to the alert, you could see it has a method called as an get text accept dismiss and send keys. If you need to click on the OK button, you need to click on the accept. So if you need to click on the dismiss button, cancel button, you need to use this dismiss method. So similarly, for getting the text, you will be using the get text. So I'm just adding the get text. Okay, and we may use this text for the validation, which means we need to return the text from this particular method, because this get text has the return type of an string. Okay, it is has the return type of the string. which means we need to add a return statement. So just I'm adding the keyword called as an return, and whenever we are adding the return statement, so the appropriate return type should be added up. So now we have done with this. Now let's say I'm just going to extend the scenario. So after clicking on the cancel button, I'm just going to verify the message like whether you are pressed cancel. So this message is displayed in the UI or not. So then I'm just altering my automation scenario. So let's say you are planning to include one more validation. I'm just adding the one more validation and user validate the UI message. Okay, so now I'm just creating the step definition for the same, okay, in the learn more step. So now we are going to do the UI validation as well, which means like what we need to do. So we need to click on the cancel button where the cancel button is present. So the cancel button is present inside the alert page. Okay, now here I'm just adding the method. So public void, okay, click cancel alert. Okay, so just I'm clicking the cancel button. How to click the cancel button? We know driver dot switch to dot, okay, alert dot dismiss. Okay, if you say dismiss, it will click the cancel button. In similar way, I'm just writing the code for clicking the OK button as well. So click OK button. So when we say OK button, whenever the user need to click on the OK button, so they can call this method, and instead of the accept, like we will be using the method called as an dismiss. Now this is done. Now finally we are going to do the UI validation. So post navigating here, we need to validate the text. I'm right clicking and inspecting this. Okay, so it is highlighting this particular thing. It is having something called as an ID. Let me check whether the ID is unique. How we can check? I'm just using the hash and I'm just typing the ID name. So why I'm using the hash? Because it will check only in the ID, because we discussed the specific notation of the CSS selector, like in which hash indicates the class, which means the class is unique. Then with the help of the class, I can get the text. Okay, so we are going to get the UI text. So now let's say, let me just create the method for the same. So public void, okay, get cancel text message from UI. Okay, I'm just giving the meaningful name, because always use the meaningful name so that like we will be having the better understanding. Okay, even others will get to know what you are trying to say. So whenever you are going to extract the text, so say get. If you are going to click something, start with the click keyword. If you are going to enter something, start with the enter keyword, so that we can follow the proper structure and everyone will get to know. Okay, so now I'm going to get the text. So by dot, I'm just going to use the ID. So what is the attribute value of an ID? It's a demo, like I'm copying the demo, or else like let me use the CSS selector. So if you use the CSS selector, then by dot CSS selector, so here it is of an ID, so I can say hash demo. Okay, so now we need to get the text. So in order to get the text, we are using the get text method. Now we need to return this text. Either you can store it in a string, okay, and then you can return the string, or else like in order to save one line of coding, you can straight away like you can include the return statement. So that is purely your choice. Okay, so whichever is comfortable, you can do that. So in the above method, what I did, I have add the return statement in the same line, but in the below thing, what I did, I stored in a string and I'm returning the string. So both are pretty much same. Okay, so now we have done with the page object thing. Now we need to call this page object method. Where are we are going to call this page object method? So we need to call in this given statement, then statement, and the unstatement. I'm just navigating to the given statement. Okay, the first step is like, so we need to like click on the confirmation bots. So we are going to do the automation only with the help of the context. So now I'm just calling the context. So when I call the context, so as the context is initialized, we are getting the knowledge of the page object manager and the WebDriver manager. But we need the help of the page object manager, because only inside the page object manager we have written the method to call the respective page object. So now inside this page object manager, I'm calling the method called as an, okay. So what is the method name? It will be like get learn more alert page. So whenever we call this method, so what will be the return type? So if you place the mouse over it, it is returning the knowledge of the entire learn more alert page, which means when I click dot, okay, it will return the knowledge. So whatever the methods which is present over there, it will give the knowledge. So now we need to click on the confirm button, right? I'm just clicking on the confirm button. So now this is done. Okay, so now after confirming the button, so like we need to like validate the alert message. So again, I'm going to do the automation with the help of the context. Inside the context, I'm calling the page object manager, and inside the page object manager, I'm calling the method to access the learn more alert page. So this particular method will return the knowledge of the entire class. So now we need to like get the text message, right? I can add a get alert box text. So now here we need to do the validation. So how we are going to do the validation? So we can say with the help of the assertion, okay, I'm using the method called as an assert equals. Here we need to inject the expected result. So let's say like I'm just copy pasting the expected result. So I'm pausing the expected result, and then we need to compare with the actual result. So basically this line is going to give the actual result because we have added the return statement. So this get alert box text is having the return statement. So either you can store it in a string. Okay, so let it be like kind of an actual message is equal to something. You can pass the actual message over here, or else like you can straight away include this line of coding inside the assertion. That is purely your choice. So now we have done with this. So now what is the next step we need to do? So we are going to do the one more validation, but in order to do that one more validation, we need to click on the cancel button. So how we are going to click on the cancel button? So again, I'm calling the context. Inside the context, I'm calling the page object manager, and inside the page object manager, like we calling the method called as an get learn more alert page, and inside which, okay, like we are going to click on the cancel button. So I'm just click cancel alert. So now that it will click on the cancel button. So now next step is like I can say I need to validate the UI message. So content start page object manager dot, I'm just calling the same method called as an get learn more alert page. Okay, and then I'm going to get the UI text message. So where is the method to get the UI text message? So here it is. So get cancel UI text message. Now we need to validate it. So how we are going to validate? With the help of the assertion, because whenever you are doing the automation, right, so the assertion is very important. So just I'm using the method called as an assert true. Okay, we need to provide the expected result first. So basically the expected result will be mentioned in the user stories or in the requirement document. I'm just mentioning the, sorry, here I should use the method called as an assert equals. Okay, so here I'm just mentioning the expected result, and we need to mention the actual result. So where we are getting the actual result? This particular line, right? So what I can do, rather than storing in a string, I can save the one line of the coding, okay, by injecting the thing over here. Okay, so now, okay, so if you, let's add the debug points. Okay, let me add the debug points in each and every method. Okay, inside each and every method. Okay, and let me just add the debug points in the context, and also inside the text context, like let me just add a debug points or the breakpoints, and also inside this method let me add the breakpoint, and also inside this let me add a breakpoint. Okay, so let me just add one more breakpoint over here, so that like you will understand so how the flow occurs. So now in order to execute this particular text, so we need to give the tag. So let me just give the tag as LMTI01. I am updating the tag in the runner file. Okay, in the runner file, so just I'm updating the tag. So the next step is like, so we are using the different environment. So environment is nothing but the URL. So where we need to update the URL. So the URL should be updated in the framework configuration. I'm just opening the framework configuration. Okay, let me just remove all other things. So let me have the browser and the environment details alone. Okay, so here I have passed the respective URL. Now I'm going to the feature runner. I'm right clicking on it. Okay, I'm running with the help of the debugger. So whenever like we use the debugger, right? So what happened? So wherever the breakpoint is present, it will pause the execution. Okay, the execution will be under our control. Okay, so now it will initially execute the given statement. So the given statement will call the method called as an LearnMore step. So whenever the method is called as a first step, okay, so what happened? The constructor call happened. So it will step into the constructor. Now let us visualize what it is happening. Okay, so now if you notice, so initially it may have called the given statement, but if you notice the control, it is stepping inside the constructor called as a text context. Okay, so it will instantiate this class called as a WebDriver manager, and then like what it is doing. So let me see where is the run button. Sorry, the run button is disabled. So just let let me just rerun it. Just a minute. Let me rerun this particular code. Okay. So now if you notice, the control is stepping to this test context. So the reason is like the constructor call happen. It will execute this particular line. So it will instantiate the WebDriver. Next, if I resume, okay, it will instantiate the page object manager. So while instantiate the page object manager, we are trying to execute the get driver details. So now what happened? So it will, okay, call the method called as an get driver details, and inside the get driver details we have written the code for browser invocation. So then what happened? So it will like invoke the browser, and as well as like it will pass the to the required URL. Okay, and post executing that particular block, okay, it is going to return the knowledge of the driver. Okay, so now the driver knowledge is returned to the particular uh, class called as an page object manager. Okay, so now the execution is stopped. So okay, now it's stepping back and it is sharing the context knowledge to this context. Okay, so now the knowledge is shared to this particular context. So now if I, okay, just resume the program, it will execute the test steps. So now it will execute the test steps. So now like it will execute the given statement. So already the context has the knowledge. So inside the knowledge, the we are having the page object manager. Okay, so now what this page object manager used to do, it will use to call this get learn more alert page. But while calling this method, okay, it is present inside the page object manager, right? So it will execute the constructor which is present inside the page object manager. Okay, so through which, okay, what happened, the driver knowledge will be shared globally to this entire class file, and the same driver knowledge, if you see the driver knowledge, okay, we are injecting the edge driver knowledge. Okay, the same driver knowledge will be injected to this learn more alert page class. Okay, so now if I run, okay, so again, so the driver knowledge will be shared to this learn more alert page. Okay, so now the same knowledge is shared, and with the shared knowledge we are doing the action. So what is the action we are going to do? So we are going to click on the confirmation button. Okay, so it will click on the confirmation button. If you see, the confirmation button has clicked, and at the top the pop-up has been triggered. So now in the similar way, if I resume the program, okay, so now why it is calling the method called as and get learn more page again? Because it will execute the next statement. So in the next statement, okay, obviously like we are going to call the page object manager, and inside the page object manager we are calling the get alert home page. Okay, so again it will call, and with the help of the constructor we have already, okay, share the knowledge of the particular edge driver. So then the same knowledge is shared again and again, and the respective method will be called and the respective action will be done. Okay, now it may have get the alert message and the assertion wise validation is done. Now it is trying to do the next operation. So while clicking on the cancel button, again it will call the like get learn more page, and inside which like it will share the knowledge and it will perform the respective action. Okay, so now it may have click on the cancel button. Okay, if you notice the cancel button has been clicked. So that's the reason like we are getting the message called as an you pressed cancel. Now we are going to get the error message of this. So again the same logic will happen. So we will getting the error message and the execution, the validation will be completed. Now you could see, so the given, then, and, so all the statement has been passed. Okay, so how it is passed? Because like we are passing the data. So now in order to fail the test case, what I'm do, so instead of this your press, I'm just giving your press cancel, I'm just giving the key string value called as an your press. And if I try to run this program, okay, what happened? So whenever the expected and the actual result mismatch, so whenever there is a failure, whenever there is a mismatch, then it will fail that particular statement. Okay, so now the given statement will pass and when statement will pass and unstatement will be fail. So whenever there is a failure, so then we can analyze, so whether it is an assertion failure or it is failure due to any of the methods. So in case if it is failure due to any of the methods, then what we can do? So we can easily fix it up. So here the maintenance part will be pretty easy. Okay, now if you see it has failed the test case because what is the failure it is coming? It's a comparison failure. It says comparison result, expected result was your pressed, but actual was your plus cancel. So whenever the asset statement fail, the scenario will be failed. Okay, so now this is fine. So assertion means okay, something issue in the application. Now in case if the developer has okay changed the logic okay to get cancel text message, the developer has updated the locator property. So then what happened? So if we update this locator property in this one particular point, wherever we have called this method, so the fits will be applied to all the places because we are utilizing the same method. So by this way, so the maintenance will be very easy. So that is the reason like everywhere we are using the page object, and also the reusability level. Okay, so when you are planning to automate the same thing, for example in this page, okay, rather than like clicking on the confirm button, you need to click on the alert button and click on the ok button. Then what you need to do? So you need to check whether is there is any existing method available for clicking the alert box, and there is no existing method. Then you need to add the method, and where you need to add, you need to add in the specific page object. So by this way we are increasing the reusability. Okay, so the handling of alert is very simple. So we are just using driver dot switch to dot alert dot accept means clicking on the ok button, like cancel dismiss means cancel button, and if you say get text, it will get the message. And in few application, this is a rare scenario, in the real time you won't get this. Like if you need to inject the input inside this text box, then you can say driver dot switch to dot alert dot send keys. Okay, and after which you need to click on the cancel button, then you can say driver dot switch to dot cancel or ok button. If you need to click on the ok button, accept, that's it. Okay, so the handling mechanism of alert is very simple, and how we have coded in the sense in the way of page object, okay, in the form of the page object. So we have done the factory design, and with the help of the factory design we have done the automation. So by this way, in the real time, so whenever we are planning to automate any of the scenario, so we will be structurizing it. Okay, so we should do the automation in a structured way.
I mean, this is the ideal way to create the
Yes, this is
framework,
the
right?
ideal way.
There's no other. Okay.
Okay, in the real time this is the way which we used to follow, whatever the framework you take. So either the TestNG or the GA unit or the Cucumber, or even what is a new framework, even if the new framework comes, this is the structure.
Yeah, and in case of like we are creating the page
Mhm.
object model, right? So on that particular page, we should start creating the methods on whatever possible actions on the web element, and then within that method, we should create
Yes,
the
correct.
locators and
Yep,
return the
correct.
actions. Yeah, and importantly, I think we are
Mm.
like in maximum cases, we are passing the
Yeah.
knowledge of driver within
Yes,
the
correct.
constructor.
So only to pass the knowledge of the driver, we are using the constructor.
Because any activity that we do on that web page will basically require the driver knowledge because everything is happening within
Within the help of
the
the driver. So that is why we
yep,
are sharing the
exactly.
knowledge, and whatever the shared knowledge we are having. So in order to share those things, we always use the context. Just I'm creating the class called as a context, and with the help of the class, I'm just sharing the knowledge. Okay. So sharing the knowledge to the other class. So whatever the required class we are having, I'm just sharing the knowledge, and from those class, we are sharing the knowledge to the needed classes.
I mean, like for one particular line, right? If you can just explain the code, like how it works. For example, if you can go to learn more alert page.
Hmm.
Yeah. Here we have somewhere passing the text context
We are
itself in
passing the
the
driver, right? Because
no, somewhere we are passing the test context itself within the.
text contents we will be pausing in the step definition. So here we are pausing
Arvind,
the,
if you
yes,
don't mind,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
here we are
This one.
pausing
So this one, how it works
initially
exactly? Like
we
in
need
the
to,
bracket.
in a, I didn't get your question.
No, no. In bracket, we are directly passing. So,
Hmm,
for example, for this Amazon home step
hmm,
page
hmm.
steps.java, right? This test context is again a unknown word, right? So how it is
Basically,
like
in the
relating
real
that?
time, we will be using this keyword called as a text context. So that is the reason I use the same keyword. So we are setting the contents of the framework, and where we are going to set the contents of the framework in the sense with the help of the text context. So obviously, like whatever the framework you're taking, so they will be using the same standard called as a text context. Okay, or even if it is of a different name, so that different name will be amended over here. So basically, you need to identify what is the heart of the framework. Okay, so obviously this is the heart of the framework. That is why, so as the first step, I'm initializing this heart of the framework. So in order to initialize this heart of the framework, so whatever the step definition I have created, I'm just in the constructor, I'm trying to pass the heart of the knowledge. Okay, so now as we try to call the
Uh,
class, so obviously like inside this class, as the constructor is present, it will execute the constructor, and post executing the constructor, the knowledge is shared to the respective step definition. So now this context will be gain the knowledge, right? So now we are sharing this knowledge to this corresponding class by setting a global variable. I have to access the global variable. We are using the this context, and we are sharing the local variable of the text context to this global variable. By the way, this particular class will gain the knowledge of the context.
yeah,
Hmm.
I got your point. But like in our previous examples, right? We were just passing the driver, or we were just passing one particular variable. But in this case, we are passing the
Yes,
entire
we are passing
class.
the entire class.
Okay. So it is like very much
Hmm.
possible in Java. We can pass the
We can
entire
pass the entire
class
class, we can
knowledge.
pass the web element, we can pass the web driver. So we can generally we can pass all types.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Understood.